The special subject I'll be convening is called Britain and the Age of Revolution, 1775 to 1832. This was a transformative period that witnessed the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and numerous other revolutions across the Atlantic world. The key aim of this module is to demonstrate how the revolutionary era shaped British history in this period. Historians have often pondered why there was no British Revolution. But while it's true that there was no one-off political uprising in the same way that there was in America, France, or Haiti, there were numerous ways in which this age of revolution made a deep and lasting impact on Britain's people, politics, and culture. So this period has often been referred to as the birth of modern political discourse and modern practices of protest. We will be investigating these contexts and case studies as the age of revolutions played out across the British world. So I just want to give you a sense of the kinds of themes we'll be discussing over the course of the year. We'll look at the rise of political radicalism and the development of a much more inclusive political culture. This was a period of incredible social upheaval in Britain, characterised by riots, demonstrations, protests, and resistance to the overarching power of the state. Over the academic year, we will unpick these movements to look at the motives and experiences of those involved. We'll also discuss how this era saw remarkable imperial change. On a macro scale, we see the transition from the First to the Second British Empire. But we also see the increased prominence of Black intellectuals, the emergence of the abolitionist movement, and the eventual abolition of the British slave trade. This was also a period of intense conflict that saw fundamental changes to the way war was experienced by the wider British population. So we also ask how the revolutionary era impacted on combatants themselves. When we look at mutiny or at resistance to press gangs, can we see this as revolutionary activity? Most importantly, we also think about how this revolutionary age changed the way people in Britain saw themselves and the world around them. So we have seminars on Mary Wollstonecraft and the emergence of proto-feminism, and we also have sessions on the literary transformations of the period, all inspired by the revolutionary age. So we look at Romanticism, the satirical social commentary of Jane Austen, and also the rise of Gothic literature. We also see the focus on changing notions of identity, whether the forging of British national identity or the degree to which the revolutionary age prompted a crisis of masculinity and femininity. We'll also be looking throughout at the lived experience of radicalism and radical cultures, examining how popular politics were played out in the home, on the street, and in the shops, inns, and taverns of 18th and early 19th century Britain. In terms of sources, we focus predominantly on those produced in Britain, and the module encourages you to closely engage with a wide variety of material documenting the course and impact of revolutionary activity between 1775 and 1832. We'll draw on published and translated collections, as well as a growing number of online digital archives, and the module draws together letters, diaries, manuscripts, memoirs, pamphlets, government archives, court records, diplomatic records, caricatures, oil paintings, newspapers, ballads, poetry, novels, history books, and objects. What I really try to do with this module is to encourage students to look at visual and material sources closely, which can tell us a lot about the era and get us looking at the past from another angle. So we look at paintings, political cartoons, domestic objects such as clothes and ceramics, and other forms of material culture. One of the key things that defines this module is that it doesn't focus on one aspect of history or one aspect of the past. It brings together social, cultural, political, and imperial histories, and students can specialise in the areas and the types of sources that they find most interesting. So you could look at the cultural history of the French Revolution in British homes, or you could look at the military history of the American Revolution and anything in between. It's really led by which aspect you would find most interesting. So that is all from me for now, and hope to see you in September.